The next one. This is a good one for back to Google Analytics. Bounce rate.
Yep. So that would be the amount of people that landed on your page and either stayed on and carried on throughout your website or left straight away. So
if they leave, it's considered a bounce.
Yeah. And then the higher that bounce rate, the worse off, I guess, your website.
Not always. So in general terms, I guess you don't want to have a huge bounce rate. I think
but it's usually pretty high. The average is pretty high.
Well, I think, look, it's so to do a massive generalization, if your bounce rate is under 50%, I think you're doing really well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Welcome to the Digital Marketing Wingman Podcast, the podcast where we bring you helpful tips and advice on websites, Google, and social media. Welcome, everybody, to the Digital Marketing Wingman Podcast, episode number 6 now. We had a little bit of a break. We had Easter holidays, so we missed out then, and then I was a bit crook the following week. So we've had a 2-week break, but we're back into it. We weren't sick of it or disappearing anytime soon, so that's good. And I've got Nicholas Katsambiris with me again this week.
Hello all.
And it's a horrible day in Geelong today, actually. It's raining and it's coming under our doors and windows. And
I'm sick, so enjoy my nasally voice.
Yeah, apologies for Nick's voice. We had a great podcast last time with Kerry Bennett from Yellow Door Digital.
Yep.
That was really good, talking about social media and strategy. Really good podcast. So if you missed that one, jump on board. You can, of course, hear all of our podcasts on the Pixel website. Hopefully all things going well, you get to see the video of it on YouTube. It's also on Spotify and iTunes. So ideally, we'd like you to listen to it on iTunes, subscribe. And if you really like the content, it'd be great if you could leave us a review, because we're trying to get this podcast up and running and off the ground and out there to the masses. So, Nick, any latest news in the marketing website world? What's been happening lately?
Not so much a website, but there was an issue with Google last month where they lost 2 weeks of data for a lot of people's analytics. So
the Google Analytics data
Google
for their
Analytics
websites?
data has lost every single point that they could capture.
Oh, okay.
They didn't capture for 2 weeks. So, yes.
How many is that? That's not everyone, or is it just certain sites, or
it's completely random.
Random.
So, yeah. So some people might see a reduction in their stats for those 2 weeks.
Yeah, right. So if it looks abnormally like you've had a dip,
fingers crossed it was just
hopefully
that.
It was just that. Yeah. I noticed that Google's had some issues with Gmail lately.
Yep.
All sorts of email sending problems, calendar issues I've had recently.
Yep.
It's not like them to have those kind of issues, but
No.
it seems to be happening a bit. And I think a few weeks ago they had an issue where I think 20% of sites just dropped off the face of the earth of
Which
Google
is
search.
massive.
Huge. So if your site just disappeared for a couple of days, that was it.
Yep.
And Google came out and said they'd solved the problem, but they hadn't, and it went on for quite a number of days after that. And
It looks like it's sorted now, though.
all sorted now, I
Everything's back to
believe.
normal.
Yeah. So I noticed that we do a little bit of research on our competitors from time to time, and I noticed that some of our competitors had dropped off the face of the earth. So luckily we weren't one of them.
And we were pretty happy about it, but then they all came back up again.
Yeah. All right. So for this podcast, we're going to go through some marketing terms. We're going to be your dictionary on some terms that you may or may not have heard in the marketing business world, and try and give you a bit of a brief explanation. We'll try and get through as many as we can without going on for too long. But yeah, these are things that you might hear if you ever use a marketing agency or speaking to colleagues, that you might pretend that you understand what they mean, but you just sit there in silence and nod. So let's kick things off. It's in alphabetical order, by the way, with A/B testing. What's A/B testing, Nicholas?
A/B testing, very common to do with email marketing campaigns. So you might send out 50% of your emails with a catchy title or some type of salesy title.
Yeah.
And then you might send out the other 50% with another title, and then see how those compare in terms of engagement and click-through and all the other metrics that you track from day to day.
And it could be anything. It could be an image. It could be the color of the title.
It could be the discount or the coupon amount for the sale. There's 100 different things that you can do, and then you can just test that over a few weeks and
Now, we could probably do a whole podcast on A/B testing.
Yeah, but I feel like I could just keep going on because that just branches out to websites and stuff as well.
As it is, yeah. But the theory with A/B testing is that you test small things so that it's a nice confined test. If you tested too many different variables in the one test, you don't really know what.
You might test the color of a button for 2 weeks.
Yeah, subtle little things.
Button performs better.
Yeah. Okay. Next term, analytics. What are analytics?
So probably the most popular would be Google Analytics. So that's just a way for you to track all the different data points that you're able to track. So for example, with Google Analytics, it'll be on your website and you can track a million different points. Which
behavior.
Could probably be another podcast again, but
pages, time on page.
Yeah, time on page, how long they're on the page for, when they go to different pages.
Yeah, and the intent is to basically use that data to extract some sort of meaningful reason or objective for your marketing.
Yeah.
Okay. Application Programming Interface, or API.
Yeah, so that is a way for a service, so a website to talk or integrate with another application. So you might have your newsletter subscription through MailChimp, and you can hook into their API and automatically sync your email addresses to your MailChimp account.
Now, a lot of people
in its simplest form.
A lot of people get mistaken, and they think that, there's an API, it's an easy integration. An API is really just a mechanism, but someone still has to actually hook the API up to something.
So, and every API is different. There's no standard way to do it.
No. So it's not the translator. The API actually is not the translator. It just means that it's capable of being translated.
The data's there, but someone needs to do it, connect to it, and read to and from it.
So don't get confused by that. There's a lot of plugins, or you might need custom code to actually use an API.
Yeah.
All right. Some easy ones now. B2B.
Business to business. So that is any marketing where you are selling from one business to another.
That's like us, I suppose. We're dealing with business clients where we build websites for.
Yeah.
B2C.
Consumer to business or business to consumer. Nike selling shoes, for example, to consumers.
More retail situations, end users.
Yeah.
Blogging.
So that would just be a normal blog. So you might just want to start up a website and blog about your day-to-day things that you do throughout your day or your holiday or things like that.
Can a business have a blog?
Yep, that would be business blogging.
Business blogging. So some people they don't like the name blog.
No.
Because it infers something very casual or storytelling or...
Which is what it used to be maybe 10 years ago, but not anymore.
I guess the term's now fairly broad, but it's basically just a chronological feed of news.
Or updates or anything. Yeah.
People call it news, they call it...
insights, articles, heaps of different things.
So it can be anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. It's a critical part of anyone's marketing, really.
Yeah.
Is that they have some form of blog or news feed on their website. Okay. Bottom of the funnel. We're getting into funnels now. What's the bottom of the funnel?
So
actually, let's take it back a bit. What's a funnel? What's a marketing funnel?
What's a marketing funnel? A funnel is, we'll just do a website, for example. So you might have a funnel page that you've set up, which at the end of the funnel, you want to get someone to click on something, whether that be to inquire about a service or to buy products.
Sure. So a funnel, I might expand on that. A funnel has multiple steps, I suppose. And at the very top, when someone first interacts with your marketing or your business, that's called the top of the funnel. Yeah. And it's as broadly appealing as possible, very wide, get as many people in with a very low level offer or hook to encourage them to progress further. But the bottom of the funnel is right at the end when they're just about to decide to buy that big thing that you want them to buy through your website or through your business. Yeah. And there won't be as many people that do that. There won't be as many people in your bottom of your funnel as there is at the top of your funnel. No. So that's the whole idea of a funnel, is that you narrow it down to the users that are actually going to buy from you.
Yeah.
All right. The next one. This is a good one for back to Google Analytics. Bounce rate.
Yep. So that would be the amount of people that landed on your page and either stayed on and carried on throughout your website or left straight away. So
if they leave, it's considered a bounce.
Yeah. And then the higher that bounce rate, the worse off, I guess. your website.
Not always. So in general terms, I guess you don't want to have a huge bounce rate. I think
but it's usually pretty high. The average is pretty high.
Well, I think, look, it's to do a massive generalization, if your bounce rate is under 50%, I think you're doing really well.
Oh, yeah.
But it's actually acceptable. There are cases where you would expect users to bounce. For example, if you're promoting your blog a lot, lots of people might already know your brand, have already been to your website, but they visit your blog page because you linked to it on social media, and they would expect to leave straight away. They're not always going to browse onto multiple pages. So just be aware that
they might just skim through it and then leave straight away.
Absolutely. Yeah. So single purpose visits, they're going to be considered a bounce, not necessarily bad.
Yeah.
So use that data cautiously. All right, what's a buyer persona?
Oh, look, I've never really done one. Maybe you want to go into it a bit more.
So buyer persona is your ideal customer, your ideal client, but you're getting really specific. So you don't just say my target audience are people that like shoes. You say my ideal customer is Nick, who likes to go for runs on Saturday mornings with his family, and he is aged 33 and...
32, mate.
32, my bad. And likes shoes that have technology in them.
Yeah.
And they're getting really specific, but it's an actual person. You could draw a picture of this person or have a photo of this person so that when you're actually creating your marketing strategies and implementing any sort of campaign, you actually think of that specific person and create it for them. So that's a buyer persona. All right, moving on. Call to action.
Yep, call to action. So we probably talk about this quite a lot. So this is something that you want someone to do. So it might be a call to action on a website where you want someone to go and do something, which is almost like the bottom of the funnel.
Yeah. So it's very direct, isn't it? It's not mucking around.
Buy this now, $2.99. Click here.
And almost all instances of your marketing should have some form of call to action, shouldn't they? At the end of the day, you might have something that's trying to persuade or educate your customers or potential customers. But at the end of the day, you've got to tell them what you want them to do.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're not likely to do or less likely to do it.
Yeah. And even if it's a blog, you might just have share this now. Like that's the call to action.
Very
They've read
level.
it. It's engaging. Share it.
Absolutely. Okay. What's churn rate? I'm fairly familiar with churn rate because I
only really know it in the subscription sense. So you go.
Well, it would be the same as that. But as a business owner, I guess the churn rate is really just measuring how often customers leave you versus, you're acquiring customers all the time. People look at their sales, but how often are they leaving? And I guess ideally you want to retain as many customers as possible. So you want a low churn rate.
Yeah.
Okay. Another analytics term, click-through rate.
Yeah. So I guess the higher is probably means that your website's more engaging or your content's more engaging. So that is how many people will maybe land on your homepage and then click through to your service page or your secondary page and then click through to another page on your website and continue clicking through. So
yeah. So just a percentage of how many people are actually clicking through.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Conversion path.
Far away.
So a conversion path, you might look at, a customer bought on a certain page, but what did they actually do to get to that certain page? Where did they enter? How many other pages on your website or even all of your marketing channels, how many times did they interact with your business before they actually converted? So that's what a conversion path is. CMS. What's a CMS?
It is a content management system. So we use WordPress as our content management system.
Yep, the best.
The best.
Can't argue with us otherwise.
No, but I guess you'd probably know some other ones, some more mainstream ones like Shopify, Squarespace. They're all CMSs.
Joomla.
Yeah.
And there's heaps of proprietary ones out there, but WordPress is the most adopted. A third of the web, I think, maybe more than that now.
Yeah, maybe a squeeze more.
But it's just so that you can easily update the content on your website and that you don't have to necessarily build out HTML.
Or know any code.
Know any code, yeah. Some are very complicated now, and you can be very, there's a lot of options and detail, and you can actually structure pages yourself. But the core concept is that you can more easily create pages and content and manage your data. Okay. Conversion rate.
Far away.
Conversion rate is the number of people or the number of people that actually bought something from you divided by the number of people that came in the door. So if I had 100 people visit my website and 7 of them bought something, I've got a 7% conversion rate. And that leads on to the next one, which is conversion rate optimization, and that's just the task of increasing that. So working on things on your website that would more likely, get people to more likely purchase something to convert. And leading on from that, cost per lead. So a cost per lead is working out how much am I spending on my marketing and how many leads did I get. So if I spent $1,000 on my marketing and I got 5 leads, I know that it's costing me $200 per lead. So that's my cost per lead. It's important to know what your cost per lead is, and that's what we try to do for all of our clients, because you can't work out whether your marketing is effective or worthwhile unless you know what your cost per lead is, and you should know what you're willing to pay per lead. And you should do that at the start. You really should map that out. Now, you always want to pay the least amount per lead, but working out, I guess, maybe what your maximum cost, what you're willing to spend the most you're willing to spend on a lead, that's important to know.
Yeah.
Because that's the benchmark of whether it's worthwhile or not. Customer acquisition cost, that's similar. I guess it's the same sort of thing. So that could be broader. So that might be rather than looking at a conversion event. So a customer might have multiple conversions. This is actually looking at customers as a whole. So you might work out your entire spend on sales and marketing, how many new customers you brought on, and then similarly, you might look at what is a average customer lifetime value to you. What is the lifetime value of a customer to you? Do they buy 5 things a year from you at a cost of $100 each time? That's what it's worth, and then you work out what it is you're willing to pay to acquire new customers. All right. A CRM. What's a CRM, Nick?
A customer relationship and management system, not to be mistaken with CMS. But it's something that, for example, we use HubSpot internally, which is a way to manage your customer relations. I guess. So
every inquiry that we get via the website, via my email, even social media, gets routed into HubSpot, our CRM, and there's a history of every interaction our business has had with that customer, and it helps us to, I guess, more accurately give these potential customers what they want, the information they need, to touch base with them at the right time.
See how engaged your leads are with your funnels and marketing.
Give tasks for me to follow them up at certain times. A really powerful tool, and any sort of business that's got a product or service that the customer takes a fair bit of time researching. It's not just like something simple where like they look up, I need to get a plumber in to fix my hot water service. That's a simple, usually it breaks, they search, they buy. Yeah. But if it's something like a website or an accountant, they're going to spend multiple stages researching, and a CRM is really handy when it comes to that, so you can nurture those people whilst they're researching. An easy one for you. What is CSS?
Cascading style sheets, which is what I use every single day to make websites look good.
And how does it work? What is it? What is a CSS? What goes into CSS?
Code.
Code. What kind of things can you do? Like,
I can make a button blue.
Yeah.
I can make a background of the website yellow.
Yeah.
I can change the font size. I can change
So if all the code on the website is basically the words and all the different HTML tags, the CSS is what makes it look pretty, basically.
Yeah.
You tell it where to put images and all those sorts of things. All the
HTML
visuals.
is the frame of a house, and the CSS is the weatherboards and bricks. And
okay, moving on. What's dynamic content? This is I guess what WordPress produces. Dynamic content is it could be database driven content, but it could be dynamic based on
where they live,
whether they're logged into the website or not, whether they've bought something before.
Yeah.
It's basically the back end or the code behind the scenes is deciding to spit out different content for the appropriate person. Okay. Popular one in the marketing world is ebooks. What are ebooks? Why are they so popular?
I guess they're popular because generally they're free, so you can make a low-cost ebook. It doesn't need to be published through anyone.
Yep.
You can make it on many of systems online, and
it's usually
entice your visitors to click on it and subscribe.
Sign up for something.
Yeah,
it's usually used as a lead magnet to try and get someone's details. And it's not that hard. You can actually just combine, one or multiple blog posts and just make it look nice in a PDF and call it an ebook.
Yeah. Some ebooks are 4 pages long.
Yeah.
Some are 100.
Absolutely. They don't need to be anything different to what you're normally publish, but just having something sort of tangible that someone can get in exchange for passing their details on, it's quite an effective marketing strategy. All right. I'm going to skip a couple here. Engagement rate. So in social media, the engagement rate is, I guess, your ad or your posts are going to be shown all the time, but whether or not people interact with it or not, whether they click it to view, make the image larger, whether they hit the like button, whether they comment, whether they share, all those things, any sort of interaction versus just scrolling on by will contribute to your engagement rate. So something that everyone should be doing rather than just publishing it's the same old boring stuff. We want to be trying to publish things that stop people in their tracks as they scroll down, and then we measure that with the engagement rate. Now, evergreen content. Have you been familiar with the term evergreen content?
Yes.
Go on then. Give us your version of evergreen content.
My version is something that you can blog about that is relevant and always stays relevant. Yeah. So it might be how to optimize your website for SEO, and that would be the same thing that would run for 5 years and it'll just sit there. And no matter when someone accesses it, it's always relevant.
So it's not topical. It's not like Google just released the new algorithm and this is what you need to do.
No, it's fairly broad, but it's niche.
Yeah. No. So it's almost like, it's not even going back to the term blog, it's not like a blog. It's almost like just a resource piece.
Yeah.
That you generally spend a lot more time on and a lot more effort on creating that content. And you could create an evergreen piece of content, try to get it to rank in Google for over a course of years.
Yep.
But you can continue to grow it. You don't have to just leave it alone. You could actually modify, extend on it, update it to the latest views. So evergreen content is actually a really good long-term component of SEO.
And then you can package that up and put it in an ebook.
You could. You absolutely could. All right. Let's go with a form. Form is a basic thing on a website these days, but what are we using forms for mostly?
Primarily contact forms, but you might have a subscription form to sign up to your newsletter.
Lead generation
sort of thing, form,
for that exchange for that ebook.
Yeah.
So it's the input field, so it's asking a bunch of questions.
Yeah. First name, last name, email address, phone number.
And it's a bit of a balancing act because you want to get as much data as you can out of somebody, but the more questions you ask,
the less chance someone's going to fill it out.
The less chance they're going to fill it out, so you get a drop off there. So always ask the least amount you can get away with, but still be valuable. Hashtag. Simple.
You're the hashtag king. I'll let you go for it.
I wouldn't say I'm the hashtag king, but hashtags used on social media, used on Twitter, first brought out on Twitter, I believe, Instagram, absolutely hopeless on Facebook. So don't ever use a hashtag on Facebook. It's a joke, but important to find the hashtags that work for you and not be that generic wannabe that uses all the big hashtags and gets all the random people liking their tags.
I didn't even know you could do hashtags on Facebook.
Didn't you?
No.
I've
never seen one.
Yeah, try it. It's terrible though. No one uses it.
No.
HTML.
Yes, HTML. So as we were saying before, that's the structure that we use to build out a website. And then we use the CSS to make it look pretty.
Without looking at your screen, what does HTML stand for?
Hypertext Markup Language.
Yes,
perfect.
You
don't have to say it much. The full name.
I often get one word in that wrong. All right, inbound marketing. I might take that one. So inbound marketing. So traditional marketing, or let's say marketing from a long time ago, was that you would just get your message out and scream it at people. Shout your message out. Be on billboards. Be on TV. Be on radio, and hope that you're interrupting them basically, and then hope that they would come back. Hope that they would sort of trigger them to come to your business. Whereas inbound marketing is thinking about how you can solve people's problems, how you can actually, people that are looking for answers, how you can be there as they're coming into your, the theory is you're attracting them in versus dragging them in. So it's things like creating blog posts, video content, having all these things on your website. And I liken it to a fishing net. You have fishing nets. The more nets that you have, they might all be individual nets, but they might all be small, but you have lots and lots of nets. The more fish you're likely to catch. So, that's how I look at inbound marketing. Infographic. What's an infographic?
An infographic is a way to visually represent a lot of data, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a good way to make it engaging. If you've got a lot of stats and things like that you want to try and get across, you can whip it up in a nice little infographic and make it look nice.
I've got to be honest, I haven't done much I haven't created many infographics myself.
I haven't seen them for a while. They were like popular for years, but
I think they're still popular. I feel like they are still popular.
I haven't seen one for ages, but I remember seeing them every day.
But I've never used it for clients, and I'm not really into creating them because I'm not much of an illustrator myself. No. Okay. Well, I think that's it. We might hold it there. I reckon we could go on. We might save the remainder of the alphabet for another podcast.
Maybe do a part 2 next week.
Part 2 of the Dictionary of Marketing Terms. Please, if you liked this podcast, give it a like or give it a share or a review or whatever you can do for us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. And stay tuned. Hopefully we're going to get some more great guests in the coming weeks. We've got a couple lined up, but I won't reveal who they are just yet. And we'll see you in the next podcast. Thanks for listening.
See ya.
Bye.